addressing their grievances. And we must understand. Meanwhile, do you condemn the KKK? And it never ends. And that's what CNN has become. You remember what the agenda was going into the summer? Yeah, it was tax reform primarily. Guess what's not the agenda right now? Tax reform. Guess what else isn't the agenda? Practically everything that Trump was elected to do. Do you think these things are mutually exclusive or coincidental? I do not. If you go to the Drudge Report, let me turn to the right so I can have the Drudge Report in my eye. Impossible. With a question mark after it. It's a story somewhere, CNBC, I forget where it is. I don't remember the link. Doesn't matter. If there's one story, there's 10. Tax reform impossible. You know why? Why is it impossible? Well, because nothing can happen with Republican votes alone. In the Senate, the Republicans are going to need some Democrats, and that's just not possible. Exactly. Right? Advancing the economy, improving economic circumstances for America will not get any Democrat votes. No, the reason why the Republicans won't get any votes is because they're so racist. They won't condemn the KKK, and even though they do, and even the president did multiple times, it's as though the condemnations never happened. But the Republicans have no brand. They have no credibility. They can't get anything in their agenda done, Bill. Or because they wish to condemn also the violence perpetrated by Black Lives Matter and the anarchists and the Antifa people and so forth. Which, if you do that, CNN and others just jump right down your throat as though you're a bigot. Everywhere in this country often starts by people on the left. Often started by people on the left. They are the sole practitioners of the violence in 99% of protests. It's a relatively new phenomenon that opposition to the left is showing up at protests, but it still isn't mainstream Republicans showing up. Mainstream conservatives showing up to protest. You disagree with the premise? 99% of all violent protests and riots in this country start and are engineered and practiced by the left? Our question, do you condemn Black Lives Matter? Do you condemn the Nazis? Do you condemn racism? Do you condemn the KKK? Now look at the stories that follow this today. From thehill.com, GOP fears damage to brand from Charlottesville. It could pay in the 2018 midterms for the continued controversy over Trump's remarks on the fatal violence in Charlottesville, Virginia. What did Trump say? We went through it line by line yesterday. We went through everything Trump said in the controversial Monday press conference, Tuesday, whatever day it was. I thought all day yesterday was Tuesday. I find out today is Thursday, so somewhere in this mix I lost a day. So whatever day that Trump went to Trump Tower to do his press conferences, we went through that line by line. And because he said there was violence committed by both sides, because he said there are fine people on both sides, hysteria all over the place in the drive-by media and in Washington. And however the media goes is how the Republican Party is going to go. Make a big show out of leaving Trump's two CEO committees or panels, whatever they're called. But they're not. This is all to get the headlines. This is all to get the photo ops. Look at this brave CEO just told Trump to put it where the sun don't shine. And that CEO, he just told Trump what for. And they're going to continue to work with the Trump administration because Gary Cohn, who's one of Trump's guys, is a Goldman Sachs guy, and they like each other, and they've got an agenda. These CEOs are not leaving the Trump administration, and they're not abandoning their opportunity to influence it. They just make this big show out of doing so. But they're still going to be on the phone calls, and they'll still be talking to all of these people in the administration, because that's what CEOs do. CEO try to get tight with people in government. It's called cronyism. They're not going to abandon that. They're not people in the administration, but they'll make Trumpster and get all kinds of great PR credit for it. Republican Party the same. Media goes crazy on Trump. Republicans say, oh, God, there goes our brand. Oh, geez, we're never going to win again. Oh, and they abandon. They really do. They then go silent. Any pushback against any of this. And the problem there is the pushback is not just against Trump. Everybody who is not a left-winger or a Democrat or an activist. There's everybody. They're smearing talk radio. They're smearing people that voted for Trump. To Brand from Charlottesville. Blame should be put on white supremacist groups for the violence sets up a challenge for Republican candidates to avoid. And one in the equivocation. Sorry for yelling. Percent of the violence in protests and in riots in this country is committed by the left. It's not even arguable. And yet, we are now being asked to believe that there isn't any violence on the left. There are Nazis, and there are the rest of us. Wrong! It's not there are Nazis and the rest of us. There are Nazis, and we're not through naming people on the left. There are communists. There are racists. There are terrorists. There's Black Lives Matter. There's Occupy Wall Street. There's all kinds of people who are not us on the left. Except they are the left. Milbank misses it. They are the left. What it really is, folks, it's not there are Nazis and the rest of us. There is the media and the Democrats and their associated hate groups and the rest of us. That is the characterization. Story about the Republicans fearing damage to the brand. Campaign chiefs raced to distance themselves from Trump's decision not to single out white supremacists. He did single them out. Second press conference on this. He did. You didn't mean it. You only doing it because we shamed you into doing it, so you're not going to get any credit for us. You don't mean it. It isn't in your heart, so it doesn't count. So Trump went on to the here. You want to know what's up? Here's the deal. And he loaded, and he unloaded, and everybody had a cow. And the reason that you have ongoing fear of your brand is that you'll note that it's Donald Trump fighting back against all this that's really what makes the Republicans nervous. You know it as well as I do. Especially you who have voted for them based on their promises to push back, to fight back. They never do. Thing with impunity. Racist, bigot, sexist, homophobe, and add on to that. And there's never any pushback. All that, just like this is what trying to strip power away from the establishment looks like. This is what it looks like when you push back. It was never going to be easy, and it was never going to be pretty. Somebody is trying to save the Republican brand by defending it against all of these smears. Racism, sexism, bigotry, homophobia. Too many Republicans have been conditioned to go along with the allegation and to ask for exemption from it. B Network, don't go anywhere.
America's Anchorman, Rush on the EIB Network.
Atlanta is predicting massive economic growth for the third quarter that we're in, that ends in September. 3.7% GDP being predicted by the Atlanta Fed. We were never even above, I think 1 or 2 quarters did we exceed 2%. The average rate of economic growth during the 8 years of the Obama regime was under 2%. When Trump presented the budget, it's an outline because all budgets originate in the House of Representatives and Congress. But the White House has their budget, and they try to get it passed, and they work with the Congress theoretically here to get as much of it as they can. Anyway, forecasting economic growth of 3 to 5%. The media had a cow as players, but they are an arm of the actual organizing power and force, which is a universal, nationwide, mainstream, or drive-by media, which is a creation of the left, and it's expressly meant to divide, and specifically along racial lines. After maybe the last hour of the program, when I want to state them again here. Repetitive, but I'm doing this at a different time of the program, doing it in the first hour here. That there is a powerful force in this country that's comprised of Nazis and Klansmen and white supremacists. We have left-wing hate websites like the Southern Poverty Law Center. They're constantly pointing out these various so-called right-wing hate groups, and they're amplifying them, and they're making them appear to be massive. And the way they do this is to draw no distinctions. Very close to state directly, but they imply that all of these wacko lunatics are, in fact, mainstream conservatives. Klan is. And by the way, this group is said to be Donald Trump's base, and that is fundamental for you to understand. In all of this, the media, their allies like the Southern Poverty Law Center, they all want, their objective is to separate Trump's supporters from Trump. They're doing everything they can to drive a wedge between Trump's voters and Trump. And the way they're doing it is to cast Trump voters as Nazis, or as Klansmen, or as white supremacists. That's what they mean when they say this is Trump's base, and then that's why Trump will not attack them. He knows they are his base. And they want people to believe that it's this tiny faction of fringe characters that actually elected Donald Trump. That's what they're trying to create, that ardor. Anybody know? Because I do. Anybody know what the membership of the Ku Klux Klan is? I'll tell you. Actual number, but we'll use it. How many neo-Nazis in the United States are there? According to the media, they want you to believe they're everywhere. That the neo-Nazis and the Klan is everywhere, and they're protesting, and there's so many of them they elected Trump. And then, of course, we have the white supremacists. 3 different groups done and characterized to make it look like it's a massive number. Folks, there aren't enough of these people to elect a dog catcher than the total gay population of this country, and probably around the same percentage as the transgender population. This being asked to believe, or you're having it just swarmed all over you, that this is Trump's base. It's a smear job. It is an effort at libeling, slandering the people that did vote for Donald Trump. And it's on this basis that if they're able to nullify the election, if this silent coup that they're engaged in, they really can get Trump out of office by eventually saying he's unfit. This guy is just beyond this will be a fundamental part of it. Well, don't doubt me when the truth of the matter is their number in total is an asterisk compared to the entire population of this country. This is one of the greatest smear jobs and mischaracterizations that we have seen the media attempt to is far greater in number than this bunch of people. The Occupy Wall Streets, now they're calling the Antifa. These people vary in size depending on how many are hired at each riot. But you can find ads on Reddit, you can find ads on Craigslist when the left is trying to hire rioters and protesters at various